special edition of Cindy's Sofa from the Christian Resources exhibition. It's, of course, a digital sofa. I really wish I had all my guests sitting around me like I normally do on the stage, but due to the coronavirus, we can't do it. So we're doing the second best thing, and we're inviting people digitally to talk to us about resources. And I'm delighted to say I'm joined now by Sir Cliff Richard, OBE. A very warm welcome, Cliff.
Thank you. I mean, I've heard of distancing, but this is ridiculous.
I think we're more than 2
miles away.
Yeah, much more than 2 metres.
Yeah.
Oh dear, oh dear. Oh. So, I mean, how have you been coping in lockdown?
Well, the funny thing is, I was in Barbados when the lockdown happened, and I was locked down for about 5 weeks. And in the end, I thought it was quite good, really, because it gave me, you know, you forget how much you're in demand of people, you know, friends, family, business things. And suddenly I felt that I had time actually that I could just think about everything. And I was, of course, writing a book at the time, so I'd used a lot of that time doing that. But I felt it was okay. And, you know, the choice was either going out and giving yourself the possibility of catching this dreadful virus. And, you know, I am over 60 now, but only just. So I thought I'd rather be bored at home than, you know, dead.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You mentioned age there, if I dare mention it. Can I wish you a very happy early 80th birthday? I cannot believe I'm saying those words.
I can't believe I'm hearing them. But no, thank you, Cindy. It's very kind of you. It's, again, funnily enough, because of it being, you know, this whole thing about no more than 6 people, it's not going to be a huge celebration. So what I did was, you know, this year I had to cancel the tour because of the virus. And so we postponed it to next year. Fortunately, when we start the tour next year, if we start the tour next year, I will still be 80.
Yes. Yes.
The only problem is, though, by the end of the tour, I'll be 81.
I don't think people will mind. It'll be whatever age you are. It'll be great to see you back in action. And thank you for agreeing to talk to us today. We're looking at 2 areas of resources, Christian resources, and obviously the Bible has been a great help to you. I know I've heard you say that over the years. But throughout your Christian walk, has there been a particular resource that you've gone to that you've always found useful?
Well, do you know what? I've never had any doubts since the day you know, when I lay on that bed and said to Jesus, I don't know how to open this door that you're knocking at, but if it's just me saying, yes, please, then I said, yes, please. And I felt that that's what my life started to change for the better. And so, yeah, you can't help but always think that for our greatest resource is the Bible in terms of information. But the best thing I think that for me is like that first Christmas as a Christian. That to me has always been special because, you know, babies are miracles anyway, just a regular everyday. All my sisters had so many babies, and now their babies have got babies. And each time it feels like a new miracle. So I've leaned on that sort of factor that Jesus actually left divinity and became a human being for a short period of time. And so to me, it was like it was giving us a huge example of what he'd like us to be. And of course, we all know that we can't be like Jesus. The man, as a man, was perfect. So, but I've always used him in my mind all the time as being something that was very, very special. And I think I'm probably being obvious. Every Christian would believe that birth was very specific. But in terms of just natural things, do you know what really keeps me in belief that there has to be a God? Mm-hmm. I'm talking to you now, looking out into a friend's garden where I've been quarantined. And plants out here, they're all different. There's hydrangeas, there's hedges, there's pine trees, I don't know what they are. My big thing is, I could never, ever believe that I'm looking at is all some massive accident. Mm. And the more I hear from people who say they are atheistic, I think to myself, well, then that means you don't believe there's any God, which means you don't believe that any of this was created. It's all happened by accident. So I've used that even in Barbados. I've watched suns go down and be sort of surrounded by God's creation. In fact, somebody said, no, I read it somewhere, that you're closer to God in a garden. So, and I've got a few gardens.
You're closer to God in a garden than anywhere else on earth, I think is the phrase, isn't it? And you're right. I mean, it seems to me that how can you say this all just happened? You know, somebody threw a load of things into the air and it came down as these wonderful things that we see. I mean, even just the autumn colours. How many shades of green are there, for goodness sake?
I don't know, there's hundreds of them. But, you know, the one thing that there was in Portugal, you know, I have a vineyard there. So watching the grapes grow is miraculous anyway. And then when you're drinking the wine, you're thinking, oh, my goodness, it grew right here. But the thing, again, the thing that tops what I've just mentioned for me was when my gardener said, shall I plant some vegetables for you? So I chose tomatoes, lettuce, courgettes, onions, and you know what amazes me? They're all about 2 feet apart, you know, rows of them, 2 feet apart. Now, we know that plants don't have any brains. How come they come up as tomatoes, onions, lettuce every year? They don't get muddled. They've got the same water, the same sun, same fertilizers. I don't know if he uses fertilizer, but if we did, they'd be the same. How can this not be created? It has to be made that way. It just amazed me. So once again, my vegetables are a great resource, not only for food, but for confidence in God.
Very good. I think that's the first time I've heard vegetables used in that context, but yeah, a good one. And during this time of this pandemic, which, you know, none of us have experienced anything like this before, has there been something that you've turned to that's helped you in your Christian life to keep your faith going? Has your faith been knocked at all during this?
No, I don't think so. I always think that when we are hit by bad things, it's when we know that we need God. I mean, again, mentioning atheists once before, I'm not sure how they manage with it, because in the end, Cindy, you must have heard this too, that when things go wrong for people, they blame God, and that comes from people that don't even believe He exists. So with the pandemic, I'm just hoping that people don't blame God for this. And when the pandemic happened, I thought, this is something really evil. Now, you and I know evil comes from one source and one source alone, and that is Satan. And I believe in Satan just as much as I believe in God. So for me to not feel turned towards God during the pandemic would have been ridiculous. And I prayed for friends, family. I prayed for the whole planet, people I don't even know, just hoping and praying that they would see that this was something that's a test for us. And it has been a terrible test for us. And so many people, I just heard the other day, the death toll around the world has gone to 1 million. And in America, they've got over 200,000 people have died. And it's all around us. We've got it in Britain too. So for me, the resource is just to know that God exists. It's hard to think of anything else. That when the bad things happen, that's who I turn to. And all I can say is that when you turn to God, you don't see Him. Sometimes you don't really hear Him, although messages can come via what somebody else says. But nevertheless, I've always felt, thank God for God.
That's a super phrase. I like that. Well, I hope your faith stands all these dreadful things that are happening around us at the time. And I hope the book, when it comes out, is a huge success. Maybe we'll be selling it at the Christian Resources exhibition next year. And I'm sure it'll sell in its hundreds. I just really appreciate the fact that you've given us this time to share those thoughts with us. And again, a very happy birthday when it gets here, and many more of them.
Thank you, Cindy. It's my pleasure to be able to talk about things like this. It's something that, if I can just add one thing.
Yeah.
The pandemic brought lots of us together. I mean, the things that I was asked to do just because, I'm a pop singer, who the heck's that? And to do something online, to speak, to sing with somebody, I felt drawn to other human beings because of this. And of course, I don't have an answer of why people have to die, but I just do feel that this one positive thing came and that drew us together. Mm-hmm. Anyway, thank you for all your good messages. I'm happy to talk to you, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon.
I look forward to it too. God bless you. Thanks very much. Bye.
Lots of love.
Bye.
Bye.
Nothing beats sitting on it, hearing it, tasting it, wearing it, handling it, trying it, comparing it.
The copier produces 1,000 copies for £4. The Riso digital printer produces 1,000 copies for £1.20 at 140 pages per minute.
Discussing it,
Interesting thing about this centre is it's a very difficult breed on a very small site.
buying it, recommending it. I definitely recommend it.
It's always good to have resources, and this is very resourceful, so it's a great place to be.
Nothing beats being here. Buy your tickets online now. creonline.co.uk/tickets.